Hey guys, welcome back. Sorry for the lighting, but it is what it is. I just cannot handle waiting to get my hands dirty any longer, so I am going to get some of my leafy greens started today. So first the first thing I'm doing is I am mixing up my soil, and I'm just gonna actually plant it in an old little food plastic container. So I have two different soils that I'm working with. That I'm going to combine together, and then I'm going to add in some water to get it all nice and moist, and then I'll be transferring it into my pot. I have a potting soil over here, an organic potting soil, but since I'm planning on probably growing my greens in here for a while, there's not going to be enough food in this potting soil to be able to sustain my plants for several weeks. So I have some potting soil, so seed started soil and potting soil. Both of them are organic that I am going to be working with. That way I will have some food in the soil for my plants to help them thrive. So I did 2 scoops of each. So I've got 1-to-1 ratio. And one of them was a little bit clumpy, so I'm just gonna kind of mix it in with my hands and kind of break up the clumps. And then I'm just gonna mix to combine this. I got the chickens out today. They're roaming and free ranging, and they are loving it. So much fun. So after I get this all mixed up and planted and ready to go, I'm gonna put it in my mini greenhouse that you guys saw me make several weeks ago. I have my, what's it called? My heat mat in there to help keep it warmer, because we are in North Idaho and we are still looking at overnight temperatures below freezing and daytime highs in less than 50, like in the 30s and 40s. So I am going to need to have my soil heated up a little bit to help with germination. So I'll show you guys how that gets all set up there too. So I like to work with bare hands. It's just how I like to do. So this is just an old plastic container, like ones that you get like salad greens in, or cookies or bagel bites or whatever. I don't have any holes poked in the bottom or anything. And so my soil is pre-moistened, and I'm giving a good amount in here because, like I said, I am planning to be growing my seeds in here like that. So I'm going to be filling it up a good portion of the way with plenty of soil for the roots that are going to grow from my leafy greens. Kind of pat it down a little bit. There we go. Okay, and now it's time to pick out my leafy green seeds, and we'll get those planted. Okay, so I went in and I washed my hands, and I found a stick to help me do my rows. I have red Russian kale, some Bloomsdale spinach, some lacinato dinosaur kale, and then mixed colors of Swiss chard to be planting in here. So I'm gonna make 4 rows in here, and I'm gonna do a row of each. And always when we are planting, even if we think we know, it's always best to read the back of the seed packet, and it will tell you how deep you want to plant your seeds, and then how far apart ideally you want to space them within their rows. Now sometimes when you look at seed packets, they're going to tell you how far you need to make the rows apart from each other, and that is if you're doing like commercial farming, where you're going to need to get a tractor or some sort of wheelbarrow or some sort of piece of equipment or machinery or a plow or something in between the rows. If you're just doing it in a small space or in a raised bed garden, you do not need to adhere to those row spacing measurements that are on these seed packets. You can just go ahead and space them as far apart from rows as they are supposed to be from each other within the rows. So you can totally disregard that if you are not doing big scale market commercial farming. Okay, so here we go. Oh, I gotta make my rows first after I read the depth. Oh my goodness. Okay, so these was 2 inches apart and rows 12 inches apart. So they don't need to be 12 inches apart, just 2 inches apart from each other. And they need to be a 1/2 inch deep. The spinach is going to be a 1/4 inch deep. The kale is going to be, oh, you're just gonna barely put this on top. And then the Swiss chard I feel is a little bit deeper. Planting depth, a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch. Okay, so 1/2 inch for the dinosaur kale. So I am actually going to break my stick so that it is the same width of my container, and I am going to press down about a 1/2 inch. Okay, you don't have to be that precise, you guys. It's okay. So we're going to do that one for 1/2 inch. And it says to plant these 2 inches apart. Okay, so I had room for about 5 plants in my row, 5 seeds in my row. They might not all germinate, maybe they will. Those kids are having fun in the back. We put up a tent, but the wind came and knocked it all over. So this is just gonna be a 1/4 inch. So next I'm gonna do about a 1/4 inch deep for my spinach. I have really been missing some greens. And these need to be spaced. So then this one says that if you're planting these in like the ground and not in a little seed starter right here, that you want to have them be 12 inches apart from each other because it's going to be a heading spinach. But I'm just going to start them out about 4 inches apart, which is going to give me the opportunity to plant 4 of these. So we've got the spinach, we've got the kale, the spinach, and then I'm going to do the Swiss chard next. And the Swiss chard, that one's going to be about a 1/2 inch deep. I haven't covered them up with the soil yet because I want to remember where my rows are. And I'm going to have room for 2 of these. 1, and I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do 1 in the middle. I'm just going to do it because I'm a rebel, that's why. Okay, and then finally my favorite, the red Russian kale. That one's just barely supposed to be planted. I didn't gauge the spacing very well. He doesn't get as much room. But this has performed really well for me. And they get spaced about 6 inches apart, it says. But I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna be planning on doing little microgreens out of here, just so I can have some fresh greens in my house. So I actually planted them pretty close together. You can always thin out if you plant them too close. So now I'm just gonna cover them up. And then you always wanna pack it down and just press firmly on your rows where they were. Okay, and if you are an organized individual, you might have like plant tags where you can mark where they were. I don't have that, but I'm gonna go get a Sharpie and I'm gonna mark up on my container where I planted those seeds and what they are. Okay, I have a handful of Sharpies because I'm not sure which ones are gonna work. Let's see. All right, so it is this one. So I wrote red Russian kale for there. Then I have my Swiss chard. And then I have my, what did I do here? Oh, I did the spinach. That's not what the spinach was. The spinach is right here. Spinach. And then over here was my lacinato. I always want to call it lacetino, lacinato. There we go. So then all you need to do is just spritz it with water, and then I'm gonna stick it in my DIY grow house on top of a heat mat that I've had plugged in, warming up, and hopefully some germination will occur in here. Okay, so I've got my little spray ball. I thought I had a bigger one, but I couldn't find one. So here we are, just filled it up with water, and just gotta let the water come through. And I had already, remember, I already pre-soaked my soil, so it's not imperative that I get it soaking wet here because it was already watered. Just want to give it a good spritz here. Just give everybody a good head start. Go. Okay, so here, I'll show you guys. So here we go. I have them labeled here on the top there, and then I'll just set them in and I'll show you guys where they are in my greenhouse. Okay, so I just unrolled my mat and it kept trying to roll out. So I put some heavy rocks on it to keep it nice and flat. And I replaced the lid for my container to help create a greenhouse effect. And so there they are. Here we go in my little DIY greenhouse thing. We've got it going in here. And so when they start to sprout and their leaves come up, then I will be able to hang my grow light from up here and give them some grow light fancy stuff. So there it is in there, getting all nice and warm and cozy. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe so that you will be notified when I upload new videos.